So yes, my name is Jeremy Shoup. I'm the Director of Music and Liturgy at Holy Cross. And today is Memorial Day, and we hope that everybody is having a good weekend and taking time to remember those who have lost their lives in battle for our country. We are participating in a program called Taps Across America, and everybody was invited to play taps on whatever instrument they have at 3 o'clock today. And so there'll be a compilation of all the videos that will come out later that we'll share, but everybody across America has been invited to play taps, and I thought before I played it, I would read you a little bit about it, the history of where taps comes from. And this article that I'm reading is from the Department of Veterans Affairs. It's called Celebrating America's Freedoms, 24 Notes That Tap Deep Emotions, the Story of Taps. And this says, of all the military bugle calls, none is so easily recognized or more apt to evoke emotion than taps. The melody is both eloquent and haunting, and the history of its origin is interesting and somewhat clouded in controversy and myth. The use of taps is unique to the United States military, as the call is sounded at funerals, wreath-laying ceremonies, and memorial services. Taps originally began as a signal to extinguish lights. Up until the Civil War, the infantry call for extinguished lights was the one set down in the infantry manuals, which had been borrowed from the French. The music for taps was changed by Major General Daniel Adams Butterfield for his brigade in July of 1862. Butterfield was not pleased with the call for extinguished lights, feeling that it was too formal to signal the day's end. With the help of the brigade bugler Oliver Wilcox Norton, he created taps to honor his men while in camp in Harrison's Landing, Virginia, following the 7 days battle during the Peninsular Campaign. Butterfield did not compose taps, but actually revised an earlier bugle call. The call we know today as taps existed in an early version of the call tattoo, which had gone out of use by the Civil War. Butterfield knew this early call from his days before the war as colonel in the 12th New York Militia. As a signal at the end of the day, armies have used tattoo to alert troops to prepare for the evening roll call. Butterfield took the last 5.5 measures of the tattoo and revised them into the 24 notes we know today. The new call soon spread to other units of the Union Army. Oliver Wilcox Norton wrote about the experience later in his life. He said, quote, during the early part of the Civil War, I was bugler at the headquarters of Butterfield's brigade. One day, soon after the 7 days battle on the Peninsula, when the Army of the Potomac was laying in camp at Harrison's Landing, General Daniel Butterfield sent for me and, showing me some notes on a staff written in pencil on the back of an envelope, asked me to sound them on my bugle. I did this several times, playing the music as written. He changed it somewhat, lengthening some notes and shortening others, but retaining the melody as he first gave it to me. After getting it to his satisfaction, he directed me to sound the call for taps, thereafter in place of the regulation call. The music was beautiful on that still summer night and was heard far beyond the limits of the brigade. The next day, I was visited by several buglers from neighboring brigades, asking for copies of the music, which I gladly furnished. I think no general order was issued from Army headquarters authorizing the substitution of this for the regulation call, but as each brigade commanded exercised his own discretion in such minor matters, the call was gradually taken up through the Army of the Potomac. End quote. The earliest official reference to the mandatory use of taps at military funeral ceremonies is found in the U.S. Army Infantry Drill Regulations for 1891, although it had doubtless been used unofficially long before that time under its former designation, extinguished lights. The first use of taps at a funeral was during the Peninsular Campaign in Virginia. Captain John C. Tidball of Battery A, 2nd Artillery, ordered it played for the burial of a cannoneer killed in action. Because the enemy was close, he worried that the traditional 3 volleys would renew fighting. The origin of the word taps is thought to have come from the Dutch word for tattoo, which is tapto. More than likely, taps comes from the 3 drum taps that were beat as a signal for extinguished lights when the bugle was not used. Other stories of the origin of taps exist. A popular myth is that of a northern boy who was killed in fighting for the South. His father, a captain in the Union Army, came upon his son's body on the battlefield and found the notes to taps in a pocket of the dead boy's Confederate uniform. There is no evidence to back up that story or the existence of the captain or his son. As with many other customs, the 24 notes that comprise the solemn tradition began long ago and continue to this day. Although General Butterfield merely revised an earlier bugle call, his role in producing those 24 notes gave him a place in the history of both music and of war. Today, taps is sounded as the final call every evening on military installations and at military funerals. In 2012, Congress recognized taps as the National Song of Remembrance. I have another piece that I'd like to play for you, an arrangement of America the Beautiful. But before we do that, I'd like to offer a prayer that comes from the prayer book of armed services that the ELCA uses. Eternal God, on this Memorial Day, we thank you for those in our military throughout history who have sacrificed their lives for the fellow citizens and for us who came after. As we remember their service, keep us mindful of all those for whom this day is a burden, and send your Spirit to comfort them. Be present with all who are serving in the military today, and let them live for the peace known only from you. Amen. So this is an arrangement of America the Beautiful by Emmylou Deemer. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for Taps Across America. We hope everybody is having a great Memorial Day and taking time to remember our military and those who have lost their lives in battle. Have a good afternoon.